Stone. Okay. I am Dean of the Division for Student Success and Retention, and I'm located in Myrna Hall on the 3rd floor. Okay? We're going to talk a little bit tonight about preparing for tests. How many of you have had a test already? Raise your hand. Okay? Stand up, Ms. Sophomore, and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley King. I'm a sophomore in English major from the Science Minor from Washington, North Carolina.
And thank you for coming. She didn't get enough of us last year, so we expect you all to come back next year as well. So raise your hand if you've had a test. Okay? How many of you have a test next week? All right. So what we need to do is talk about different preparation methods for taking tests and the different tests that maybe might require a different mode for preparing. And this is going to be very interactive. So I'm going to ask you some questions about how you study, and we're going to do maybe one group exercise. All right, so everybody received a syllabus, right, from your instructor. Did anyone not receive a course syllabus? And what course? In your algebra course. Okay, talk to me about that after we're done today. You should have a course syllabus. On that syllabus, every single test, all of the books, anything that you need to know will be on that syllabus. The course content, what you need to do to make an A, the point value system, your assignments, and when they're due. So you all have reviewed your course syllabus, and you know when the tests are, you all have that information, right? Except for one young lady. All right, and your professor should have gone over the syllabus with you. So you go to class and you take notes. So what do you want to do? You want to review your notes. I know a lot of you have come by my office. Some of you are done at 2 o'clock. Someone came by my office and she was actually done at 11. So there's plenty of time to review your notes. What you don't want to do is cram at the end of the course to prepare for a midterm or prepare for your final. So you want to review the main points in your reading assignments. And sometimes your instructors will say, make sure you understand this. When I was actually teaching, my students knew something was important because I would say, hint, hint. And hint, hint always meant you will see this on the test. So some of your professors might even give you a review of the test, of what's going to be on the test, a guide more or less. All right, so for details, for courses that are very detailed, and you have to remember the names, people's names and dates, especially like a history course, those are things that you want to zoom in on and make sure that you understand that information. Now, as far as math is concerned, you will have a lot of formulas that you will have to remember. And you know that you need to know this in order to solve the problem. And it's always okay to ask your professor, am I on the right track with this information? Is there anything else that I need to know? And you all know that professors have office hours, right? The office hours are on the syllabus. Can someone tell me offhand of one of your courses where you know your professor's office hours? Any examples? Yes. On Wednesdays. That's important to know. Are the office hours on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 2 o'clock, or Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday? And all of that information is posted on your professor's door or on something next to the door. And it should be on your syllabus as well. So make sure you know that. So what does it mean when it says some exams are cumulative? Anybody know what that means offhand? Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Okay. It adds up exactly. Everything that you've had from day one will be on that test. That's a cumulative exam. Okay? All right, test preparation strategies. Who likes to study with other people? Raise your hand. Study in groups. Raise your hand high. Okay. How many like to study alone? Raise your hand high. The people that said that they like to study in a group, tell me why. Anybody?
Because sometimes you learn more off other people when you get on your own together.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else on why you're studying in a group? Yes.
I like to know like another way of how somebody else talk or equation or something like that.
Okay. Anybody else? Now, these are all of my people that like to study in a group. Where are my people that like to study by themselves? Tell me why.
I like studying by myself because like when I'm by myself, like I'm more focused on everything because if I'm around like a group of people or whatever, like I get all off topic and stuff.
Okay.
I like being alone with myself.
Okay.
Basically the same thing. It helps me focus better when I'm by myself.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
You focus, when you study by yourself, you can focus on the thing that you're struggling with. I feel like when you're in a group, you have to touch on everything, and you might already know something, and you have to wait for that person to catch up. But if you're studying by yourself, you can focus on the thing that you're struggling with.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. I got all correct answers. Different strokes for different folks, right? You all probably don't know that song. That's an old one, Slide in the Family Stone. But anyway, study groups, when you have two or more people, can also turn into, ooh, what we gonna do this weekend? Okay? What did so-and-so say? What did he say? What did she say? So what are you doing? You're talking about everything but the subject. So it really takes very mature people to study in a group. And it has its pros and its cons. You know, a lot of people like to hear what someone, like you said, I want to hear somebody else's take on what's going on. So I would say if you're studying in a group, don't let it become a social time to talk about everything but what you're there for. Okay? Keep hitting this. All right, test preparation strategies again. How should you study? You should know the format of your test. Is it going to be a multiple choice test? Is it going to be an essay test? Is it going to be a math test, just equations? So know your format. However, the multiple choice test is the most common format for introductory classes and for upper level classes as well, in such subjects as the sciences. And why do you think that is? You're going to have multiple choice in your sciences. Yes. Okay, you have a lot of terminology to remember. Is that correct? So that's one reason. How to study for an essay exam. How many people like essay exams? Anybody like essay exams? Why do you like essay exams? Okay. 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 But you also want to remain focused in your writing. You have to know, you just don't want to just go on and on and on. Your writing has to be focused and it has to remain on topic. So you study the big overall concepts of the class as well as some relevant examples of each concept. Ask yourself questions that your professor might ask if you don't get a study guide. Again, some professors will give you a study guide and you'll know the main components to study for on the test. So, what do you want to include? What, who, where, when, and especially how and why in your essay reflections. This is the points that you cover primarily. Any questions? All right. So, some classes require that you apply the knowledge that you have to a specific situation. Practice by making up possible questions. For example, how would Franklin Delano Roosevelt looked at our political system today? How would he look at our political system today? You would have to have some knowledge of President Roosevelt, right, to even be able to answer that question. So that is prior knowledge. And you would have to know about the political system during his presidency in order to compare that political system with the crazy one that we have today. All right, study not only the definitions or terms. Again, these are primarily history. This is a history course. This could be a science course. This could be an English course with a specific topic. So what do you want to do? You want to study the examples of those terms and concepts and make associations and connections between the terms and concepts. Also, practice being able to apply the information. You just don't want to learn the information. You want to be able to apply it and synthesize it. You want to be able to speak about that topic in terms of, well, if Roosevelt did this in his day, then it would totally be unacceptable in our political system today because we don't do such and such and such. You're going to give as many examples as you possibly can. All right. How to study for a math exam. Where are my math majors? Any math majors? Any math majors? No math majors? Why are you all laughing back there? No? Okay, so math for a math person, and I am not a math person. You have to practice, practice, practice. All right, you have to go over those problems numerous times. That's why in most of your math classes, all of you are taking math, right? Okay, have you all had any homework yet? What does the homework consist of? Equations, and what else? What else? You have to solve those problems. So again, math classes are usually cumulative. What does that mean? We talked about cumulative. They add up. When you learn this part of the equation, you have to learn the other part before you can complete the problem. Okay? So, new topics build upon what you have learned previously. Because of this, it is important not to wait until the last minute to learn all of the material. And I'm going to tell you, ladies, if you all wait, you all have the schedule of your midterm. You know when your midterm exams are, right? Or when your well, you should. If not, ask your professor. You know when those test dates are. You don't want to start studying the night before the test, right? Okay. You don't want to cram for an exam, because what's going to happen if you cram for an exam once you walk out of that room? That's right. You know absolutely nothing. So what you want to do is build on the knowledge that you've previously learned in the class. So when it's time to write about it, when it's time to have the multiple choice test or do that math problem, you know those concepts because you've studied those. So you want to learn all of your topics. And again, if you're having problems with something, that's where we come in our area in Myrna, our Curriculum Learning Center. We have tutors in all of your level 100 courses. So, you know, we have big signs on our wall that says, don't wait until it's too late. You want to, if you see something's not going right, you come in, request a tutor, you go online to MyWC Online, request a tutor. We have tutors there at various hours, 7 days a week. And, you know, it could just be, like you all said, a matter of having someone explain it to you in a different way. We have peer tutors, your Bennett sisters. These are students who have made A's in the courses that you need help in. And you all can talk about it, you know, girl, this is how you do this. Oh, girl, is that all I had to do? You know, and you get it. And a lot of students come in just to maintain that B or that A, to get an edge, you know, get ahead of what they're doing. So come and see us. Okay, so 4-step process for remembering how to take a test, especially in math. What quantity is the problem asking you to solve? And you will learn that in your math class, in your equations, with the question that the professor is asking you. Which skills, procedures, or formulas can be used to solve the math problem? But you have to know the formulas, right? Solve the problem. Review the solution. Does it seem reasonable? If not, review the steps you took to solve the problem to check for mistakes. Your professors ask you to show your work. Is that right? So what does show your work mean? Work it all the way out. Why is it important to show your work and work it all the way out? Who said that? And if you miss one step, what happens? The whole thing is wrong. So when you show your work, your professor can say, ooh, this is what you missed right here. You know, you didn't get the whole thing wrong, you just got a certain portion. And when he or she explains a portion that you missed, you're like, oh, I get it now. So that's important to know. Other alternative problem-solving techniques. Draw a picture or diagram of the problem, and we're going to talk about various learning styles as the course progresses as well. So if you know you're a visual learner, for example, and you have to see things to get it, raise your hand. Okay? If you are an auditory learner where you can just sit here and listen and you get it, raise your hand. Okay? And then we have some people that are kinesthetic learners. They have to manipulate. Here's my other pen. They have to manipulate. They have to touch and they have to feel. So we'll talk about what type of learner you are so we can drill down on that a little bit more. So you want to try and reason it out as well. Think of all the steps that you were told to take and try alternative example problems of the same type. You know, when you work different types of problems, you get a good grasp on what you should do. Okay, how to do word problems. How many people are like word problems? Word problems. Convert the problem into mathematics. You can draw a picture and label it with all the quantities, numbers, or variables mentioned in the problem. In order to finish converting the problem into mathematics, find equations which describe relationships among the variables and describe the goal of the problem mathematically. Now, I believe in your math classes, you all have software. Is that correct? In your textbook that will assist you with this, because you have a given number of problems that you must solve regarding a particular area of math, right? Okay, so you get plenty of what you call practice problems. Okay, how to do word problems and applied problems. Again, solve the problem when you have come up with using the 4-step process that we just talked about and other problem solving strategies. Once you have solved the problem mathematically, convert the math back to words. So again, you've solved it both mathematically and you've written it out as a word problem. Okay, so what are the general strategies for test taking? Most of the time, your first answer is the correct one. Have you all heard that before? Why do you think that that first answer is the correct one? The first answer that you come up with in your brain is the correct one. Why do you think that's the case in most instances? Because if you know something, if you have an idea about something and you recall it, that's the first thing that you're going to recall, what you know about that particular answer. Thus, in most cases, it is to your advantage not to change your first answer. Many students tend to second guess or doubt themselves, and this causes them to change their answers. Now, what you don't want to do is speed read while you are answering a question. You want to take the time to read every single word. You don't want, in other words, don't go in rushing. Oh, I just want to get this over with. You want to read carefully because you might have some words in that test that says in that particular question, all but, okay? So the but is automatically telling you that there's a change here. There's something that you need to pay attention to. Everyone, always, those are words that you want to look carefully at. Are they doing this all the time? Is it always like this? An exception, though, is if you know that you tend to be impulsive when taking an exam and often pick the first answer that you see without reading the other choices, and you don't want to do that. Oh, multiple choice. Oh, I'm just gonna look at A. I'm not looking at B, C, and D. Okay? So you're automatically setting yourself up for what? For failure. You want to take the time. I always tell students, when you have a test, how many of you eat breakfast? Raise your hand. Okay. You always want to go in a test, especially your midterms and your finals especially because they could be a couple of hours long. You don't want to go in that room with your stomach growling or thirsty, or you need to go to the restroom. You want to do that before you go in. If you go in with your stomach growling, where's your focus? Food. Oh, I'm hungry. Let me hurry up and get this over with so I can go to the caf. So you always want to have something, even if you just had a granola bar, a breakfast bar of some type. So keep that in mind as well. Multiple choice strategies. How many people like multiple choice tests? Why do you like multiple choice tests? Anybody? Through a process of elimination. And how do you eliminate? Okay? And you can only eliminate if you what? If you know the material. You can only eliminate if you know the material. I love multiple choice tests because the first thing I would do is hone on into what is wrong. Narrow that down and you're good to go if you know the material. Some students tend to think, oh, it's to my advantage to have a multiple choice test because I can just go in here, I can halfway know what I'm talking about. Doesn't work, ladies. All right. So when an exam gives you choices like A and B, A, B, and C, or A and D, or all of the above, it gets complicated then. You really have to know the material, right? Take each individual choice and determine whether or not the statement is true or false for that individual choice. Put a T by each statement that's true. Then count up all the T's and select the appropriate answer. Again, this is the process of elimination only because you know what's wrong and you know what's right. Okay? And sometimes you can just scratch through the incorrect, the ones that you know are not right. Just cross them out. And that gives you 2 or 3 to consider. Many students can narrow their answers down to 2 choices, excuse me, and then have problems selecting the correct answer. So why do you think after you've narrowed it down that you still might have a problem making the correct choice? What could be the problem there? Yeah, the way that it's worded, I heard you don't know it. It could be another case of every single da-da-da, all but, okay, in that answer. Look at each choice and try to determine the word or words that make the choices different. You can also try to put the response choices into your own words and try to answer the question by matching your answer with the closest related answer choice. Any questions about that? Okay, so let's talk a little bit. I want you all to maybe just a little group. I'm going to take about 3 minutes. Just group yourselves into 5, 6, 4 people and talk about your reflection on strategies that have worked for you for taking a test. What strategies do you use? Strategies that you've used in high school. So let's take about 3 minutes to do that, and then I'll have one person report out from the group. Okay? What strategies have you all used? Can you all get together? What strategies? You okay? Okay. I'm gonna take my T-shirt since you're not from Alabama. Maybe you can talk about some strategies that have worked for you during your freshman year. I'm gonna ask you about that. Tell me your name again. Ashley. Okay. What's your major, Ashley? Okay, English. Okay, that was my major.
Something that we might have to like commit.
You're gonna have to put your cell phone away and let's get with the group, okay? Can you come up here with these young ladies? She's gonna join you all when she put her cell phone up. Okay?
Yeah.
So I guess.
So are you all talking about the strategies that have that you all used when you were in high school, or testing strategies that you all have? All right, I'm going to ask you all to report back. What strategies are you all using over here?
I use music.
Okay, that's interesting. How about you all? Okay, I'm hearing some interesting strategies. What strategies did you all come up with?
We write down our notebooks, flashcards, sticky notes.
I love flashcards. Love flashcards. All right. Let's take another minute to wrap it up. And then you all decide who's going to be the spokesperson for your group. Okay? All right. Let me get one person. Thank you. Let me get one person from this group to talk about the strategies that you all use. And we're going to stand up. Okay? You want to go ahead? Yes. Just tell us about the strategies that you all use.
Okay, so we use flashcards, we scan over.
Speak loudly.
We use flashcards, we scan over our notes, and like we highlight the notes.
Okay. Very good. This group.
Well, we use, like she said, we use flashcards, we use sticky notes, we write it down in our notebook, like the notes.
Okay. This group. The whole row. Okay. All right. Let's go back here. Need one person.
For like the English test and stuff, we agreed that we all like we would read the question first before reading the whole test, and then as we're reading, try to pick out the question, answer it, and then look back at the answer choices, or we look at the answer choices and then reread the question and try to figure out and keywords.
Okay. All right. In the back. Yes. Oh, I love that. The music part. Ooh, I don't know about, but I know you all multitask. And I hear that all the time. What kind of music do you like? Listen up, ladies. Okay. And see, I'm just the opposite. Whenever I'm studying or doing something important, it has to be quiet. But I know you all multitask. So music, and I love the idea of quizzing each other. You're in your group, so you quiz each other. Okay, very good. Okay. So what are you all writing down on your flashcards and your sticky notes? Important information, facts, equations, numbers, questions that may be on the test. This group back here, were you all together? Yes. Okay. I need one person to stand up.
We do flashcards. We watch like reviews on the internet and stuff like that. Look at important quotes and whatnot, and watch them.
So I'm hearing lots of reinforcement. Okay, in the back. This.
Basically, like everybody said, a lot of reinforcement, like rewriting things down.
Okay. Just writing. Sometimes as you continue to write, you will learn a lot, because research shows that when you actually write your notes as opposed to typing your notes on your laptop, you tend to learn them better. How many of you use a laptop to take your notes? Anybody? Okay. I want you to seriously consider writing your notes for a couple of class sessions and reviewing the notes as opposed to typing them in. Okay? Anybody? Did I miss anybody? Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to ask Ashley, our sophomore, to stand up and talk about some strategies that she used when she was a freshwoman and she's using now.
Okay, I worked with data, and we didn't really talk about studying strategies. We talked about test taking.
Okay.
Actually, while you're taking the test, we talked about what process of elimination. And I will say, being an English major, a lot of the things, they're kind of like matching. And some of the questions, when you go back and answer a question, the definition of something else may be in that question.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if you have trouble, just skip over it. Make sure you write it at the top of the page or something so you can know to go back to it to increase your amount of questions that you get done.
So you're not wasting time if you're stuck. Just go ahead and mark that one, keep going, and come back. Okay. Thank you. Any questions, ladies? It sounds like you all have a good strategy for actually studying, which is reinforcement. You have the flashcards. Flashcards are very important. You can keep those, write those answers on the back, write the question on the front, the problem on the front, answer on the back. And this you all can do as a group. You can do that by yourself. So yes, flashcards are very important. So, essay test taking strategies. Understand what the question is asking for. What is it asking for? Circle or underline. How many of you may not have read the directions all the way once, and it says circle, and you underlined? Or it said underline, and you circled. I know, I've done that too. In fact, I was in, in a meeting, and we had this little exercise, and I didn't read the directions. I just knew that I knew what I needed to do. And it was all wrong. Every bit of it was wrong. I had to actually put the questions in chronological order instead of eliminating. I'm like, well, I don't do this. I don't do this. So first and foremost, read the directions. You want to do that first. So if it says circle, how many of your professors may have said you're not getting a single one? I'm not giving you any credit for a single one because you were supposed to underline and you circled. That's rough, isn't it? That is really, and it was right. But because you didn't circle or underline, it's wrong. So it is important to read the directions. So this way you will give only the information that is required and not any irrelevant information or do something that is totally incorrect. Okay. Essay test taking strategies again. Your essay should be organized with a thesis and written in paragraph form. Okay, how many of you use outlines when you're writing your essays? Why is it important to have an outline? Anybody? Yes. It keeps you organized. What else does it do? Okay, and it sort of keeps you from just writing willy-nilly. You're just writing stuff. Just writing, and it's not even relevant or related. So use that outline. Sometimes students lose points in their answer if it is unorganized, for sure. And you should, because you're all off topic. And nobody wants to read anything that is not related to the topic that is being asked. You want to give the details, okay? And it's hard to follow. Have you ever read something that was just all over the place? It's just everywhere. So, the importance of proofreading. Why is it important to proofread and review your answers? Yes. Yes, you don't always want to count on that spell checker. You want to know how to spell. You don't want to count on Siri. Siri, what is so and so and so and so? And you know, you all have all of this artificial intelligence today. Back in my day, we didn't have Siri. We didn't have Alexa. We had to go to the library. We didn't have Google. We didn't have cut and paste. It was typing. We didn't have, and most professors did not allow you to use whiteout. You're looking at me like, what is whiteout? Whiteout is a paste. If you type in a paste, how many of you ever seen a typewriter? How many of you know? How many of you have ever typed on an old-fashioned typewriter? Okay. So when I was in college, my professors did not allow whiteout. So if I got to the end of that paper and I made a mistake, snatch it out and start all over again. Yes. Yes. And I can honestly tell you, I was such a perfectionist and neat freak. In fact, I have a friend, Mr. Clean has this new spray that's called Clean Freak. And she actually bought that and gave it to me. She said, this is for you. But just to tell you a little story, when I was a freshman, my first semester taking English, and had a professor, had to type my paper, had a paper that was due. And I had made so many mistakes because I wanted my paper to be correct. I had my trash can and all the papers in. So turned the paper in, went back to class that Friday. I will never forget it. The paper was due on Wednesday. She had the papers ready for us on Friday. So I'm in the class. Everybody else called Miss So-and-so, Miss So-and-so. And I was thinking, I said, well, maybe she's calling names according to how well you did. Some professors, if you made A, they're going to call you first, B, C, and D. So I had gotten past the D people, or so I thought. And I'm like, where's my paper? I never got a paper back. So I'm panicking now. Class was over. Asked the professor, where was my paper? She said, well, you didn't turn in a paper. I said, well, yes, I did. I did. And I said, well, I can prove it because I still have all the pages that I made mistakes on in my trash can. And she said, okay. She took me to her office, and I ran across that campus, ran back to my dorm. We were dorms then, not residence halls. Scooped up all those papers, all those pages, and met with her. She said, well, yeah, you did. She said, well, I tell you what, I'll let you turn it in on Monday and I won't penalize you. So, needless to say, whenever I did a paper for this professor, I went to the library and made a copy. We didn't have any copy machines in our rooms, like the little portable ones now that you all have. We had to go to the library. So, 20 plus years later, my daughter is in the same professor's class. What happened to her paper, to one of her papers? She lost it. She lost it.
That's why we take pictures of our stuff.
We couldn't take any pictures unless we had our own Polaroid, and we weren't wasting our Polaroid film taking pictures of paper. So what do? You all save it. You all can print on demand. So just a little aside there. So you always want to proofread. Always keep a copy of your work. Whenever you make a final grade in a class, when your grades come out, keep those grades somewhere. In fact, in your practical guide, you have a place where you can write the grades down for each course that you've taken. Why should you do this? Yes. Exactly. Any other reasons? Could lose it. Or it could be that there's one grade on your transcript, but you have another grade in your booklet, and that professor is no longer at Bennett College. So what do? You take all of your work, you take that final grade that you have on your, not report card, but your grades, and you keep that. You keep that for the whole time you're here at Bennett. So if any discrepancies come up, you got it. And that's all you have to do, because the paper trail speaks for itself. So always proofread, ladies. So managing your time with extended test time for test accommodations. We all know here at the college, if you received accommodations in high school for any type of accommodation that you may have, isolated testing, extended testing time, we will allow you to have that here at Bennett with the proper paperwork. And Dr. Lucia Graves is the person that you need to see if you received any accommodations in high school. However, if you are not in isolated testing or extended time or whatever you need, don't spend too much time trying to figure one question out. As someone mentioned, put a little check by it, keep going, and come back to it, because you want to hit all that stuff that you know. You want to get that out of the way first. And then the stuff that you don't know, you come back to it. And then know when to let go. You know, sometimes you just have to say, I've done the best that I can do. But don't let go until you know that you've done your very best. And don't keep going back, scratching out those answers, because that just makes it worse. Because when you walk out of that door, girl, what did you put for number 4? Let me get my notes. Have you all ever done that before? Couldn't wait to get out of the class, out of the test, to see if what you knew was correct. Anybody ever done that? Okay. I know you have. So know how much time to spend. All right. Any questions about anything that we talked about? Any questions? How many of you feel that you are better prepared to take a test now? Just one person? Okay, raise your hand high. How many of you feel like you know some new strategies and you're better prepared? Okay, very good. Yes. I can do that. Yes, I will definitely do that. You are welcome. All right, now is the time for the drawing. I'm going to ask Mr. Lipscomb to come down. Okay, if you did not put your name in, that means that you came in after 6 o'clock. We did not let anyone.
When keep stirring some more, like make sure you.
Absolutely.
No, with your hand, yeah. Make sure you. What is your hand?
Make sure it's not the last person that came in. We're going to mix it all up.
Shake it up. Shake it up. So let me get back to that response. The only way that your name is going in the basket is if you are here before or at 6 p.m. We cut it off at 6.
Pick it
No,
up.
you pick one.
Winner is Maya Waller.
Where is Maya?
Maya Waller. Come on down.
Come on down, Maya.
Pronounce your name one more time. Maya Waller. Everybody give her a round of applause.
Yay! We have a $25 gift card to Applebee's. So when you get tired of eating the calf, you can go on over there to Applebee's.
Maybe
All right.
next week. Maybe each one
Yes.
next week.
Hang on just 1 second. I have a question. Thank you, Tom. All
What was that
right.
list of who signed in?
Tanya has.